Hey folks, my name's Kevin and it's time for a little bit more knife nerdery. Today we're going to be talking about a really pretty simple, subtle mod that I do to knives if they have a middle finger flicking hole or a Spydie hole, and that hole has a really crisp, sharp edge inside it. I find knives like this tend to scrape my fingernails I'm flicking them if I flick in a certain way, and if it's bad enough, they can actually shave little bits of my fingernail off. If I find a knife is doing that, I do the mod I'm going to show you today. I find this only really happens if a knife has a satin blade finish. Most other finishes, especially something like a stonewash, will knock that edge back just enough that this isn't a problem. I'm going to be using two bits of footage today. Something I shot right after having done this to my Urban EDC Vox F5.5, and some footage I shot today showing you how I did it on this Thai Biblio. I think my energy level in that first video from the F5.5 is a little bit low, so it might be kind of an odd juxtaposition, but we'll see how it goes. I hope you like this, and I hope it's informative. Let's get to it.
So I was just able to pick up a knife I've been hunting for a while, Urban EDC F5.5 in Thai and M390. And it's this just like wonderful, stout little, built like a tank utility knife. But what they did is they chamfered this edge here, which is great. I really appreciate them doing that. That's so much better than it being a 90-degree angle. But the blade finish here, like the blade itself just has these grind marks this way, and then the flats have just the machining brushed in perfectly this direction. So the result is that this chamfer, while not a 90-degree angle, is still a very crisp, sharp 45-degree angle and 45-degree angle. And you compare it to this knife, also made by Riot, same designer, everything, but it has a stonewash blade finish, and that stonewashing process knocked down all these edges and made it smooth. And so its edge is much more rounded off. It's still nice and crisp and clean, but the actual edge has been rounded off. And so this knife, if I open it by sticking my finger in and running off like that, a motion, a flick like that, that makes the blade slide off my fingernail, I'm not running against anything sharp here. It feels really nice. It means that I can open it really easily without any degradation to my fingernail. And on this guy, with that sharp corner, I was getting like serious scraping on my nail. It was actually like shaving bits of my fingernail off. So what I did is came in with my jeweler's diamond files and I rounded this corner, both of the corners. I don't know how I'm going to be able to capture that. The easiest way to tell with the naked eye that I did anything is probably not something I'm going to be able to pick up easily on this because I don't have a single source of light coming. But if you roll the knife, can I get this at all? Yeah, right there, okay. If I roll the knife, the chamfer lights up all at once with one crisp, clean line, and there's a very sharp line between that and the part inside the blade hole, which is darker. And on the other way, if I do the same thing, rather than lighting up all at once, it starts to light up kind of in a gradient pattern because I have rounded off that edge and it's no longer a sharp, clean line. But by taking this corner off some, it meant that I was cutting into some of this surface that used to be this flat bit. And to hide my tracks, or to even it out, I had to recreate this brush. Yeah, right there. I had to recreate this brush line by just going back over with my files and going in this exact direction over and over. And I think I did a pretty good job. Even under a magnifying glass, it looks pretty consistent, but it definitely looks, you no longer have the crisp line. There's still a distinct chamfer, but it just doesn't have the sharp, perfect corners. They're rounded. And the result is that now I can slide my finger off of this. And it's not, I mean, I'm still rubbing my finger along metal, and that's still going to be that, but it's not shaving little bits of my nail off anymore. And so I can open this like that. And the reason I wanted to do that, actually, I probably should have started that in the first place, but the reason I wanted to do that is because you get a much more authoritative snap if you're able to flick in a way that gives you really, really good purchase on the blade and has no resistance to removing the blade from your finger. So if you instead hold it more like this and shove the meat of your finger in here, when you fly out, you don't have as good of a grip, so you're not be able to put as much force on. And you have the risk of the blade having to catch on your finger and ride on the back like that, because your finger isn't able to clear the path as cleanly. And so you can either run on that and stop it entirely, like get a false flick and have it catch on your finger, or it just will have a very gentle friction there and just not have as nice and clean of a click. So having the ability to flick in this direction instead, well, I guess you can still fail it. But it means that you can just do like well, it's not good examples. Right when I want it to be good examples, it's not good examples. But you can do a much firmer, more satisfying flick. And you also just don't have to push the meat of your finger into anything. You can see that this has such a strong detent that pushing the meat of my finger in kind of sucks there. So overall, I'm really not showing good examples. Overall, I'm very pleased with the way it came out. I might go back and clean it up even more, but honestly, I don't see anything to clean up. It looks really good still. So, yeah, it's fun.
Okay, we're back. We're going to be doing the mod here on this tie Biblio. I'm going to shove in some footage right here to show you from when I open this. You can actually see the little tiny flecks coming off my fingernail. Okay, so to do the actual mod, all you need is a set of files, small files specifically. These are going to be called something like miniature files or needle files, or sometimes they're called jeweler's files because you use them for making jewelry. If you're going to be working with any kind of modern super steel like you have on this Biblio, this is M390, you're really going to need a set of diamond files. You can try to do this with regular metal files, but it's going to take you forever. These are really cheap. Like, I think this set cost maybe $5, $10. They're made in China. This is a much nicer set made in Switzerland, but these aren't diamond files. Even this is going to cost you maybe $15. If you can use something like this that isn't diamond files, it's going to take you a very, very long time to get this done. So I might use this just at the very end as kind of finishing. I'm going to use this one, which is typically called a half round. Half round because it's literally rounded on this side, get that to focus, and flat on the other. And the reason I'm going to do that is because the shape that I'm going in has a rounded bit on the end and a flat bit here. So I'm going to use the flat bit on the flat bit and the rounded bit to get into that corner. You can take the blade out. You can tape the knife up. If you're worried, if this is your first time and you're worried about scraping something, by all means do it. I find that this goes pretty quickly and is not very difficult, so I'm not going to bother. I'm also only going to be doing this side, because this is the side that scrapes me when I flick. This side is sharp too, and I feel that it catches on my thumb, but I don't really care, and I don't really ever thumb flick this knife, so I'm not going to bother. So this practice is really pretty simple. All we do is take the file, insert it in here, and pick about an angle. Try and keep your hand relatively consistent. If you really care, you can rig this whole thing up and try and use some system to make it so you have exactly the right angle every single time. I'm going to eyeball it. And you basically just lightly and gently run this file back and forth over this edge. I'm applying almost no pressure and just letting the file do the work. This takes a while, but with diamond files, you can make an impact pretty quickly. So the key is to check in on yourself as you go and see how much work you need to do. Like, that's still scraping me, but that's already markedly better. Yeah, I'm going to do a little bit more. Right now I'm just doing this flat surface. Again, I'm applying basically no pressure. Feeling how it scrapes against my finger. Oh great, the fridge kicked in. I might do a little bit more. Yeah, that's still scraping. You can see it's literally taking little bits of my fingernail off. That's fingernail shavings right there. So let's get this a little bit more. That's pretty good. I don't want to completely take this edge off or anything like that. I'm just trying to take this tiny little bit. Now I still need to, because when I flick, I tend to push into the corner, not just along the edge. So I'm still going to do this surface in here. And that is going to be the round bit. See how I want to hold this. I need to open that up, and yeah. Yeah, that's all it takes. That little bit there is all it takes. What I'm going to do now that I've reached a level that I think is not scraping my nail up, what I'm going to do now is a little bit of finishing. And that, all I'm going to do, right now, so far I've been going back and forth in this direction, which is going to create grind marks in this direction. And it's also going to make a slightly uneven finish along this edge. So I'm going to go now is just very lightly running back and forth like this. And in this corner, yeah, I think we're done. So let's see how this goes. Yeah. Yep, we're done. It's that easy. Okay, so here we have the nice crisp clean line on the side I didn't touch. And here we have my micro bevel. This is with my camera zoomed in all of the way. So honestly, with the naked eye, it's pretty hard to tell that anything was done at all. Anyway, hope you liked this and have a nice rest of the day.